Glamour Prestige presents Virtual Learning Party every Tuesday and Thursday starting March 24th, 2020 for students in grades 3 through 6, reading and English only.
Your hosts are Dr. Jacqueline Walker and Velvet Smith, who are ready to turn up for learning. Hey!
So our ICANN for today is I can answer passage-based questions with 100% accuracy with the help of reading strategies, passages, videos, and activities. Hi guys, today is Thursday, May the 21st, and it is time for what we do on Thursday, which is
Passages. So listen up. We're going to have passages that include content vocabulary and information about presidents.
all right, let's ready to go.
All right, it's time for our outstanding openness, which is our hook the reader. So today our hook for you is the video I Am Abraham Lincoln. So sit back and listen to some interesting facts about Abraham Lincoln, one of our 16th president.
Welcome to Granny's Book Nook. Today's story is I Am Abraham Lincoln, written by Brad Meltzer, illustrated by Christopher Eliopoulos. I am Abraham Lincoln. When I was little, even young boys were expected to work on the farm and hunt animals for food.
Abe, you coming? I'll catch up with you later.
I preferred to read. I also loved animals. When I was 10 years old, I saw a group of boys playing with some turtles.
They found turtles? I love turtles. Look, it's making the turtles run fast. It's the fastest turtle ever.
But as I got closer, I realized they weren't playing. They were taking hot coals and putting them on top of the turtles to see what would happen. To them, it was harmless fun. In that moment, I could have just walked away. When you're 10 years old, it's hard to do the right thing, but someone has to.
Let this turtle go. What did you say? You heard me. Let it go.
Those boys let the turtle go. Soon after, I wrote one of my first essays about how hurting animals is wrong. That might not seem like a big deal, but back then, most kids and even adults didn't know how to write. In fact, the state of Indiana was so new, schools weren't even built yet. I went to school for barely a year, total, but that didn't stop me. Using chalk, I practiced writing the alphabet on trees. I even wrote in the dirt of the cornfield.
Abe, how's the corn coming? Great, Dad.
When it came to learning, my best teachers were simply books. I loved books so much, I once walked 6 miles. I'm serious, 6 miles to get one.
6 miles? That's too far for a book. Not for this one.
I'd read while my horse was resting, and while waiting in line at the local store, and in one of my favorite positions, with my feet up on a tree. Before long, I had read every book in the neighborhood, from the Bible to Aesop's Fables to Robinson Crusoe. But one of my favorites, a book about George Washington. I'd even copy my favorite parts on pieces of wood.
Did you know that George Washington was a friend of men? You're a strange boy, Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, but I'm gonna be on the penny someday. What's a penny?
When I was 22 years old, we moved to Illinois, where I met a group known as the Clary's Grove Boys.
Think you're better than us? I never said that. Don't be chicken. Show us what you got.
Everyone in town knew they were bullies. I didn't like bullies, but I was the new guy. When they challenged me, I didn't have much choice. Today, some may call it a fight, but it was really a wrestling match. Me against their leader, Jack Armstrong. Back then, the rule was, once you grabbed your opponent, you couldn't break your hold. But Jack did, so he could grab my leg and send me flying. I wasn't mad I lost. Everyone loses sometimes. What got me upset? He had cheated.
You didn't play fair.
Maybe you want to fight us all.
Within seconds, they all surrounded me. They were waiting for me to back down or to lose my cool. Instead, calmly and confidently, I told them,
If I have to, I will fight every single one of you, fair and square.
They knew I meant it.
You're a strange kid, Abraham Lincoln, but you've got guts.
You know, I'm gonna be on the penny.
What's a penny?
Sometimes, the hardest fights don't reveal a winner, but they do reveal character, especially when you're fighting for something you believe in. Still, not every struggle brought a victory. Years later, I saw a group of slaves chained together in a boat on the Ohio River. Back then, not all people were free. Some were slaves. Just because of the color of their skin, they were forced to work without pay. They were treated terribly. I never forgot the sight of that boat. I didn't do anything that day, but for years, the memory of those people, it haunted me. I was still thinking about them when I became president. I lost 4 elections before I got the big job. 4. America was facing one of the greatest fights in our history, the Civil War. One side wanted to let the slaves go free. The other side,
We want to keep slavery going, and we'll fight anyone who says otherwise.
if I turned my head and looked away, I would have avoided the fight. But if I'd learned anything in life, it was this. When someone needed help, I wasn't so good at looking away.
I'm sorry. I cannot allow that.
What did you say? You heard me. These people will be free.
The Civil War lasted longer than anyone thought. The fighting took a terrible toll. People on our side were ready to give up. To re-energize them, we held a big event in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The main speaker gave a speech that lasted nearly 2 hours. I gave a speech that lasted 2 minutes and used only 271 words. The most important 5 words I used:
All men are created equal.
Soon after, I helped pass a law that ended slavery in America and freed all those people. Then we ended the Civil War. As a result, we didn't just bring together these United States of America. We proved that this government of the people, by the people, and for the people would be dedicated to freedom and justice.
You know, in his speech, he told the crowd that no one would remember what he said at Gettysburg.
Wanna bet?
In life, strength can take many forms, but there's nothing quite as strong as standing up for someone who needs it. No matter where you're from or how little you have, one thing that can never be taken away from you is your voice. When you find something you believe in, use your voice. And when you see injustice, speak louder than you've ever spoken before. When you do, it'll never be forgotten.
Look, he's on the penny.
I am Abraham Lincoln. I will never stop fighting for what's right. And I hope you'll remember that when you speak your mind and speak for others, there is no more powerful way to be heard. Thank you for visiting Grammy's Book Nook. To get more information for this book, check the description box below. Be sure to thumbs up this video. Click the subscribe button for the latest videos on Grammy's Book Nook.
All right, now the comprehension question that you have after just viewing I Am Abraham Lincoln is, what was President Lincoln's best teacher? Go ahead and take out this sheet of paper if you have it. If not, take out a sheet of paper and just write down your answer on what was President Lincoln's best teacher. All right, we're about to tell you the answer.
All right, so who was President Lincoln's best teacher? He stated that his best teacher was books. So the answer to the question is his best teacher was books.
All right, now it's time for our weekly reading strategy.
All right, so our weekly reading strategy is summarize. So we need to think about, identify the most important ideas or information, classifying or sorting the information that you read, and inferring and drawing conclusions.
Okay, so this week we have an InfoText description about interesting Abe. If you have this sheet, go ahead and take it out because we're going to read it to you, and then Ms. Smith is going to read the questions, and then we're going to review the answers with you once you have done that. So, interesting Abe. Every U.S. president is one of a kind, but Abraham Lincoln was a rarity even among presidents. He was the tallest president ever. He stood 6 foot 4 inches, and that's without his favorite black hat, which was shaped like a stovepipe. Lincoln had a very interesting face. People who knew him noticed that he might quickly switch from a big happy smile to a mischievous grin to a look of great sadness. He also had a bushy beard. A little girl wrote him a letter telling him that's how presidents should look. He took her advice and grew his famous whiskers.
All right, our key question. Question number 1, description. What does the author compare Lincoln's hat to? Number 2, description. How would Lincoln's face change? Number 3, text evidence. Did Lincoln have a beard? Cite the text. Number 4, context clues. What do you think rarity means? Is it unique, unusual, or young? Number 5, stretch. Briefly describe how your favorite TV or movie star looks. So if you have this paper, you can take it out and you can write your answers on the back, or you could use a sheet of notebook paper to answer your 5 questions.
All right, you can go ahead and pause that so you can get your answers together by looking back at the text. But when we come back, we will have the answers. All right, here come the answers. Number 1, what does the author compare Lincoln's hat to? It is a stovepipe.
Number 2, how would Lincoln's face change? Big happy smile to mischievous grin to a look of great sadness.
Number 3, did Lincoln have a beard? Cite the text. Yes, it is the 8th sentence, and we have circled it in red for you, which says he also had a bushy beard.
Number 4, context clues. What do you think rarity means? And that answer is unique.
And number 5, stretch. Briefly describe how your favorite TV or movie star looks. So we chose Beyonce, and we said she had a medium height, thin, beautiful, with blonde hair and brown eyes.
And of course, your number 5 answer would be different based on your favorite TV or movie star.
All right, and when we go back to summarizing, we look at what that reading strategy would be. So summarizing is actually an after reading strategy, and a summary is a brief account giving the main points of something. This essay is about, this author writes about, this book is the story of. If you look to the right, it has to summarize nonfiction, recall the main idea, supporting details, concrete events in sequence, explanation of events, emphasis. And if you see the detective is down there, he has different clues where it has point of view, plot, character, setting, order of events, and genre. And lastly, after reading, give a summary of the text. This helps you to retain the information in your long memory while letting the teacher know that you understood what you read. Now it is time for us to go and read our passage of the week. So our passage is U.S. President Abraham Lincoln, and we're going to read this with you today. As you can see, then the first thing that you come across is a photograph of Abraham Lincoln. And we don't have a caption, but we do know that this is Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln was America's 16th president. He is considered to be one of the greatest leaders in the nation's history. He helped guide the United States through the U.S. Civil War. Lincoln also helped to end slavery in the country. Sadly, Lincoln was assassinated near the end of the Civil War in 1865. He became the first U.S. president to be killed in office. So let's look at some of the text that we're going to highlight that's going to help us with our strategy for summarizing. Let's underline Abraham Lincoln was America's 16th president. And then he was the greatest, considered to be the greatest leader in the nation's history. He was there for the Civil War. He helped end slavery. And he was also assassinated, and he became the first U.S. president to be killed in office.
Okay, as we go to the second paragraph, Lincoln was elected president in 1860. Before the election, most people did not know much about Lincoln or his humble background. He was born on February the 12th, 1809 in Kentucky, in a Kentucky log cabin. In 1816, his family moved to the wild Indiana frontier. Lincoln helped his father farm and work the fields. He barely had time for school. He spent no more than 1 year in a classroom. In 1818, Lincoln's mother died. So what I want you to go back and underline is that Lincoln was elected president in 1860. And then underline before the election, most people did not know much about Lincoln. He was born on February the 12th, 1809. And then also underline Kentucky. In 1816, family moved Indiana and then helped his father farm, work the fields, barely had time for school, and then no more than 1 year in a classroom. 1818, Lincoln's mother died. So these are all things that are going to be able to help with our summary.
Even though Lincoln had very little schooling, he learned how to read and write. Books were scarce on the frontier, but he closely read the books he got his hands on. Lincoln pored over the family Bible. He would walk for miles to borrow books. Some books he read were Aesop's Fables and Pilgrim's Progress. All right, so here we're going to underline, even though Lincoln had very little schooling, and then read and write, and that books were scarce, but he closely read books he got his hands on. Then he loved the Bible, let's underline the Bible, and that he would walk for miles to borrow books. And some of those books were Aesop's Fables and Pilgrim's Progress.
Okay, for our next paragraph, as a young man, Lincoln worked many jobs to earn a living. He was tall and strong. He split logs and fence rails for farmers. He helped take a flatboat down to a river to New Orleans. Eventually, he started a general store with a friend. When the store went into debt, he paid off those debts off working other jobs. By 1834, a friend encouraged Lincoln to become a lawyer. Instead of learning at law school, Lincoln taught himself law. Your own resolution to succeed is more important than any one thing, he would later say. So, what we need to highlight here is that Lincoln worked many jobs to earn a living, tall and strong, split logs, fence rails for farmers, and then take a flatboat down a river in New Orleans, started a general store with a friend, store went into debt, paid debts off working other jobs, and then instead of learning at a law school, Lincoln taught himself law.
All right, the next is among Lincoln's many skills, he was a great writer and speaker. In one of his most famous speeches, known as the Gettysburg Address, Lincoln's words reassured a suffering people at war that democracy would survive. Here to help with our summary, if we're going to say Lincoln's many skills, we're going to say great writer and speaker. Then famous speeches, we're going to underline the Gettysburg Address. And then we're going to say that he reassured a suffering people at war that democracy would survive.
Okay, on our next passage, as President Abraham Lincoln was most proud of the Emancipation Proclamation, which was issued during the Civil War. It declared that the slaves in the southern states rebelling against the U.S. government were free. The proclamation paved the way for the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which ended slavery in the U.S. So we're going to underline Emancipation Proclamation, Civil War, slaves in southern states rebelling against the U.S. government were free, and then proclamation, 13th Amendment ended slavery in the U.S.
Lincoln's stand against slavery caused him to make many enemies. Even so, his assassination was felt all over the nation from the north to the south. Millions of people admired his spirit and service to his country. A train carried Lincoln's body to Springfield, Illinois, making stops at some major cities. Mourners crowded near the tracks to try and see the train. To this day, people visit Lincoln's tomb to pay their respects. So we're going to highlight or underline in this section, Lincoln's stand slavery caused him many enemies. Then we're going to underline assassination felt all over the nation, north and south. Then we're going to underline millions of people admire spirit and service to his country. And then we're going to say a train carried Lincoln's body to Springfield. And then mourners crowded near the tracks to see the train. And to this day, people visit Lincoln's tomb to pay their respects.
Okay, we hope that you have everything down here that we've gone over. But of course, if you don't, you can always pause the video and go back, because now it's time for us to do the question sets. And we're going to do 5 questions. So, number 1, what did Abraham Lincoln help to end in the United States? A, slavery, B, war, C, democracy, D, discrimination.
Number 2, which of the following describes the correct sequence of events in Lincoln's life? A, he became a lawyer. He started a general store. His mother died. B, he became president. He issued the Emancipation Proclamation. He moved to Indiana. C, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. His mother died. He moved to Indiana. D, he moved to Indiana. He became the president. He issued the Emancipation Proclamation.
Number 3, Abraham Lincoln was a man of integrity. What evidence from the passage best supports this statement? A friend encouraged Lincoln to become a lawyer. B, as a young man, Lincoln worked many jobs to earn a living. C, when the store went into debt, he paid those debts off working other jobs. Or D, he split logs and fence rails for farmers. He helped take a flatboat down to a river in New Orleans.
All right, question number 4. Which of the following was probably least important in Lincoln being a successful president? A, he was persuasive. B, he was tall and strong. C, he had political skill. Or D, he was a great writer.
And lastly, number 5, what is the main idea of this passage? A, Lincoln was the first U.S. president to be killed in office. B, Lincoln's most famous speech, the Gettysburg Address, reassured people. C, millions of people admired Lincoln's spirit and service to his country. Or D, Lincoln was one of America's greatest leaders.
All right, so remember to answer these questions, and we'll be back in a few moments with the answers to our 5 comprehension questions.
All right, here are the answers. What did Abraham Lincoln help to end in the United States? A, slavery.
Number 2, which of the following describes the correct sequence of events in Lincoln's life? D, he moved to Indiana, he became president, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation.
3, Abraham Lincoln was a man of integrity. What evidence from the passage best supports this statement? C, when the store went into debt, he paid those debts off working other jobs.
Number 4, which of the following was probably least important in Lincoln being a successful president? B, he was tall and strong.
5, what is the main idea of this passage? It is D, Lincoln was one of America's greatest leaders. All right, guys, it has come to an end. This is our last lesson for the week. But on next week on Tuesday, we're going to talk about
word reference materials and how to use them to help us when we encounter various unknown words.
All right, we'll see you on Tuesday.